Our message today, this Advent, is simplicity, because God is utterly simple. But simplicity is not simplistic. We're not trying to dumb things down. Simplicity understands the problems, the challenges, the conflicts, the difficulties of life, because God understands those things. God understands the challenges of our lives, what complicates our lives, the problems of our lives. Simplicity is about freedom, and it's the freedom of God that cuts through the problems and the conflicts with clarity and purpose. The clarity and purpose of what God wants for us. But simplicity is not easy. Every week I go to the gym 2 or 3 times to lift weights. And as I lift weights, I'm supposed to be getting stronger. And yet I complain because it's not getting any easier. Well, Father, I'm told, when it gets easy, we just add more weight. Besides, if it were easy, everyone would be doing this. If simplicity were easy, everyone would do it. The first Christmas was simple, but it was certainly not easy. In fact, there was a whole process of preparation, 2 millennia worth of preparation, and the whole entire Old Testament recounts the story of that preparation. So why should we be surprised if our attempts, our strategies, all the things that we do in between everything else that we must do in preparation for Christmas, why should we be surprised if Christmas turns out to be less than what we expect, less than successful? Even this season of Advent seems to accelerate the preparations that we make for Christmas. It speeds things up, and it, of course, speeds us into complexity, because that is the pull of our culture, our world, even our relationships. We're pulled to complexity. And, of course, complexity creates problems and conflict. We should look at this from the perspective of the man who is at the center of today's scriptures. John is his name, and we call him the Baptist. He echoes for us the words of Isaiah. A voice cries out in the desert, "Prepare the way of the Lord, make straight in the wasteland a highway for our God." Imagine John's experience, preaching at a time of political and religious turmoil, a time of conflict, really not very different from what we experience in our world today. And like him, the message is often not welcome. His message was not welcomed, especially by those who were considered the leaders of the people. So he must have felt a bit overwhelmed by the forces that opposed him. This Advent, with all the preparations for Christmas, you might feel a bit overwhelmed with all the things that you have to do to get ready for Christmas, the extra running around, all of the things. In fact, you might even wonder a bit if this message of simplicity is not a contradiction to what you experience in the world, maybe even a contradiction to what you are experiencing here in church. It's true even for us, the parish staff. We are getting ready for Christmas, and it is overwhelming. Even the decision to move Christmas Eve celebrations to the school auditorium is overwhelming. In fact, for some, it might create more complexity, but for many others, it does allow for simplicity, because it cuts through the problem of finding a parking place. At the Tamaqua Area School District, there will be plenty of parking. No one will have trouble finding a place, and even those of you who are handicapped will be able to find easily a place to park reserved just for you. Having the evening Christmas masses at the high school auditorium cuts out the need for anyone to stand, because there are certainly enough seats, and comfortable seats at that. Having Mass in the auditorium also cuts through the conflicts the walls that separate us and provides us with the clarity of unity. One parish family gathering together to celebrate. Yes, for some this might be overwhelming because it's so new and so different, but again, from the perspective of John, he had no place to preach his message. He had no church, no pulpit. He proclaimed his message in the desert, in the wilderness, in a place that people had to travel a great distance to hear him. But he preached nonetheless a simple message: prepare the way of the Lord. He sought to straighten the paths, to make them easier and simpler to follow. A path that anyone could follow, even those who are lost, those who strayed, those who are injured, those who are sick. And I think therein lies the whole purpose of God's plan, that the path for all of us, for all people, to experience him be simple. He came among us in the most simple of circumstances. He came in simple innocence so that the desires of our hearts, the simple treasures that we seek at Christmas, would be exactly what we find in him. So whatever is in the way of what God wants, whatever prevents our hearts from experiencing him, maybe it is time to move them aside, to make way for the Lord. You see, in order for this message of simplicity to be successful, we must have a process, a strategy, a plan. There must be something that we do. As I mentioned last week, we start with the goal of prayer. That plan of prayer, seeking what we need from God for this Christmas, that gift that we seek, we must seek in prayer. What is it that you want for me, God? But also we need to create space. We need to make room. We need to clear the path to find maybe just one thing that we could eliminate from our lives so that the path is more simple. That might be a physical thing, but it also might be something like anger or hatred or arrogance, those things that prevent us from experiencing God, those things that make life more complicated. And then finally, we need to kill goodness. Yes, that's right, kill goodness, but seek greatness, to rise above the complexity of this world and seek something great, so that all people can come to know the utter simplicity of what God wants for us this Christmas. God bless you.